of maintenance, like of all the fleet shops. That's the way he wants to run the shop. We shouldn't spend, thousands of dollars on parts that may just sit on the shelf. We'll order like, the stuff that we use a lot, we use regularly, and then all the stuff that we don't, well, we'll just order it as we need it. The problem is they can't just run down to Napa real quick and go get a control valve. Yeah, wheel seals, bearings and braces, you can go get those in Napa. Those are easy parts. But like your specialty parts, like a, ABS control module, control valves, shit like that, or your your auto inflation system box. You don't just run down to AutoZone and get one of those.
I don't know, and that is exactly why I don't work well under other people. That's the kind of shit that keeps getting me fired, is when I see a major flaw in their system, and I say something about it, and they try to get stupid about it, then we end up having disagreements, and they fire me because they can.
And Lord forbid anybody tells the boss that his idea is stupid and loses productivity.
9 out of 10 of the problems you're going to run into with shops or shit like that, it is because the boss is a moron, or started off as a pencil pusher or something like that, or they're really old. My favorite's the ones that are really old. Like, well, back in my day, this is how we did it. Back in your day, you didn't run as much shit through here.
Problem now is the problem is like most of your supervisors and your managers and stuff are friends of other people who are in manager, supervisor, or vice presidents positions. So they didn't get the job because they were good at it. They got the job because
it's the good old boys club.
Right. Exactly. But I've worked in a lot of places that are like that. This place takes it to the extreme. And when I say to the extreme, I mean like I would probably, if I worked over at the fleet shop and not at where I work at, which is the body shop, which I work on the sales equipment. I don't work on the fleet equipment. If I worked on, I would probably strangle most of the people in the shop because they don't do anything. Like, when a trailer comes in, you're supposed to do preventative maintenance. You're supposed to check the brake shoes, brake rod travel, test the air system, check the hub oil, check the suspension, check the lights, check this, check that. And then all of a sudden, they'll sign off on a PM. And now, then 3 weeks later, they're like, okay, well, we're going to sell this trailer. So it comes to us. It's got a brand new PM sticker. I'll roll up under it on a creeper. The freaking, one of the drums has got freaking, fissure cracks running through it. The shoes are down to the metal. Like, you can't even force grease into the alamites without having greased it so long. Like, you look through the little looking glass on the freaking hubcaps to check the hub oil, and there's metal shavings floating in it. And it's like, I'm like, what? Do y'all just like pull a trailer in, stand around, bullshit, smoke some cigarettes, have a good old time? And when it's like, oh, well, it's been about an hour, time to wrap up my PM, sign off on it and let it go? I mean, is that what y'all do?
That's what it sounds like.
Bear left.
It's pathetic. And it's because most of the shop over the fleet, especially on the day side, is run by, a guy named Redwood. Redwood's a black guy. He hires nothing but black guys. And they're all buddies. They don't do anything. All day. And so and when the fleet shop isn't busy and we're backlogged with work, we're like, hey, we're going to give Redwood and his crew a list of trailers to do for us to help us out. So then when they finish a trailer, they send it over to us to be washed and cleaned up and get ready to go be parked out with the rest of the sales trailers. All of a sudden we have this trailer come in and gets dropped out in front of our wash rack, and we go out and look at it, and there's work that hasn't been done. They've run over $400 worth of time on it, but no work was done. Or the work that was done is so shitty, I wouldn't sell it to a blind man.
200 yards.
Y'all ever think about taking that up the chain?
Left.
This isn't a place like UPS that's owned by, shareholders and stuff. This is owned by 2 dudes. This is a private owned company. It's from the top down, it's basically mom and pop. As long as they're making money, they don't give a shit.
Bear right.
But the problem comes in is that Equipment Solutions, which is technically what I follow here, Equipment Solutions made over $17 million last year. After every employee was paid, all the bills were paid, all that crap was done, we made $17 million. I got a 23-cent raise last year. And we can't even, and apparently we don't have a budget to buy a new welder, so we can have an extra welder on hand.
See, 400 yards. Bear left.
Oh yeah, I would too. If that was my situation, I'd
turn around.
You got a lot more patience than I do, man. Because I promise you, I would point out their issues to them. And then when they fired me, I would point out their issues to the Better Business Bureau and everybody else I could think of. Probably a safety inspector. Have a safety inspector come by and check out the PMC shop. So when they go through and they do an inspection after this PMC's been signed off, or the PM's been signed off, have an inspector go in and just check them out. Because those safety inspectors, they don't let you know they're coming. They just show up. They let you know they're coming when they get there. Because they don't want you to start doing shit the way you're supposed to.
Dude, they've been paying off OSHA. I know because the guys have been working there for 30 years. He knows for a fact that when OSHA has shown up to do their safety, inspections and shit just randomly, they basically walk around, they go up in the office, and he said, I was a supervisor at the time. He said, and the vice president's office is right across from him. He said, I watched him slide
Horizon Outback. It's like 50 degrees in the shade, and these people are still having the time of their lives.
Because if they were to go out and do an
Whatever you're doing
environmental
out there,
sample
keep
around
doing
the
it.
damn fuel island, they would shut this place down for environmental violations.
Fuck it. What you should do is, when you find a job that's better, do that.
I've been checking out the festival,
Call
making
them up
new
and say, hey,
friends.
look.
Most of them are
the
cars,
EPA.
but Speaking of, you're here to collect another
Call
one.
everybody. Be like, hey. And then, because then, I mean, honestly, if you're going to have crooked freaking inspectors like that, somebody's going to get hurt. Period.
Oh yeah.
And then what's going to happen? Yeah, I mean,
Well, I mean,
and
let
this,
me tell you how
this is my biggest
let me-
problem with freaking people that make a lot of money off of the backs of others. What were you saying?
Oh, I was going to say, let me tell you how stupid my shop manager is. I may have told you this once before, but I'm going to tell you again. So, they instituted all these new safety policies that we're supposed to follow. And one of the policies is if you're more than 5 foot off the ground, you're supposed to wear a safety harness. I looked at my boss and said, when I'm walking the top of the trailer checking the roof, I said, I have to wear the safety harness? He said, yes, the roof doesn't have railings, so you have to wear it. I said, and hook to what? I said, there's nothing to hook to. I said, we can't run a cable, a safety cable, because we have a crane. We have an overhead crane that gets used in the shop. I said, it would interfere with the overhead crane. I said, and plus, if I'm tethered to this thing and it touches the frickin' the power tracks that run the overhead crane, it could electrocute me nowadays. He's like, well, you don't have to hook to anything, but you have to wear it.
I'm like,
what sense does that make? What is the point in wearing the harness if I'm not hooked to anything to stop me when I fall? I was like, I'm going to splat against the concrete floor of the shop. Oh,
He had
well,
his harness
you know
on,
what?
OSHA.
He had his harness on, so you're good. You know, the company's in the clear. Like, it doesn't make sense. And so then, like, we have a lot of scrap metal, you know, that we store behind the shop, you know, because we use a lot of scrap. You know, oh, we need to put a patch on the sidewall. We cut the scrap metal out and we put it. Well, we need another scrap metal rack because we're out of room. Like, we've been telling us, like, hey, look, I was like, if you don't want to buy us one, buy the material and we'll build it. It'll be cheaper that way. And we can build the size that we need and set it up the way we need it, and it's no problem. And they're like, well, it's not in the budget right now. And we're like, okay, there's this really tall, like, roll-around scaffold that has these rungs on it that you use to climb up. I said, let us turn that into a storage rack. He's like, no, we can't do that. That'd be a waste of money. So the vice president, Mike Broomhall, it's like, oh, well, you're not using that scaffold? Well, take it apart. I'm taking it with me. Thinking he's going to take it to Lancaster, Texas to FFE to be used over at that shop. No, that's not where it ended up. You know where it ended up? Sunk down in the mud next to his boat dock so he could work on his boat.
We only just got here and the location scouts are already reporting points of interest. They're certainly intrepid. I didn't tell them about the snakes.
I would, honestly, I'd shut it down. I would find a way to just fucking, even if they meant...
Is there room on your
I
radio
need
dial
the
for another
job.
station? I've got the papers ready to
that's
sign.
what I said, after you find a job.
Epitaph Records Radio. Punk, metal, and hardcore for all the girls and boys.
You know, a
I'll
lot
sign
of
them up
times,
right
you know,
away.
when you go and, you know, you buy a used vehicle.
Boss, you have got to listen to this.
You know,
I found a local classical station called
could
Timeless
usually,
FM.
You know, be
It's
like,
community
oh, well, you
radio,
know,
so they're lovely
show
and they
me,
can really
you know,
use the
it's
sponsorship.
like, has the car
but their
ever been
production is
wrecked?
less than slick.
And, you know,
Also, I
or
doubt the
whatever,
host has
and
ever
they'd be
driven
like,
faster
you
than
know,
40 in
yeah,
his life.
you know, back, you know,
Check
it's
them out.
had some body damage, you know, but we've fixed it. No, when they're gonna sell a Freightliner truck, like I said, it's a body shop. They go in, they'll rip, you know, bad panels off the sides of trucks, put new side panels in, new bumper, basically make it look like nothing's ever been done to this truck. And so it looks like new, and then we'll never tell anybody it's been in a wreck.
This is Horizon Online.
Sell it.
In
Yes,
Horizon
that is
Online,
illegal.
coming first, isn't
They
it?
I think
only
as-
they
Make it
only
clean,
tell
make it
somebody
stylish,
if
make it
they
look good,
ask.
and you could earn as
If
much
they
XP
don't
as the bloke
ask,
out
they
in front.
don't say a word.
You've got 3 ways to play. In Online Adventure, we'll set you up with a bunch of great events all over the country.
Still think that's
You and your
illegal,
friends can
'cause
get
if they
straight
find out
into
later
the
on
action.
that the truck was in
You
a
have
wreck,
to
they
do
can still
is
come back and
drive.
go after 'em.
Online free
They
roam
could be like,
lets you
oh, well,
choose
they
your own
didn't
adventure.
ask.
We'll turn you and your mates loose on this wide open land.
It's part of that whole
Take some cars out of the
federal full
garage,
disclosure
run
thing.
events, tick off the bucket list, or just
work for a
roam till
shady
the sun
motherfucker,
goes down.
dude.
And
Oh, I
now,
know.
for the first time, you
I
can
should
play a
probably be shot in
Horizon
the fucking
campaign in
head.
co-op. Work with your mates to make
And
Horizon
if anybody's-
Australia the biggest Horizon there's ever been.
I know, right?
And
He's gonna
everything
come
you
back
do
with
in
a bullet
co-op
on his head and
still
be like,
counts in
that
your
septic
solo
wound guy
campaign.
in their party.
So don't be
He said
shocked.
he'd be shot in the head. Now listen up, if y'all listening. Just like I told the congressman, I'm having a problem paying rent. I ain't got time to go cause no trouble or money. So fuck off.
I mean, I know it's shady. I mean, I know. I promise you, I know. Because I mean, like, you know, there has most of these, you know, Freightliner, like 18-wheelers, they have a big sticker on them. It says, "Do not cut or weld or drill holes in this frame." Okay? They'll have one come in wrecked. They will cut the bad spot off, go cut one off of a scrap truck and weld it on, grind it down, paint it. You'll never know.
God, maybe you know what? Maybe I should just call the EPA and the DOT freaking guys and all that. Let me know when you find a new job. I'll just put in an anonymous tip.
I mean,
But I'll
on
wait till
any
you
given-
find a new job. The rest of the people that you work with, I don't give a shit because I don't know them. But I'm sure they'll find something.
I mean, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars of parts roll through our freaking shop floor every month. And then they're gonna come, like I said, hell, there's one kid that's been working there a month less than I have, and he got a $2 raise last year. I got 23 cents.
Again, who is he related to in the management?
Nobody. Not that I know
Carnage,
of, anyway.
it's Forzathon. Hit the action button.
But he's like some 19-year-old kid, and he's like, basically my boss, Rodney, took him under his wing, like, they're like,
To see what the
grandfather,
challenges are this
grandson,
week,
like,
turn around
relationship
when
at
it is
work.
safe to do so.
Like, he runs late for work, and the shop manager and him joke around. I run late for work, like, I'd never, like, there's only, last year, if I was sick, I missed work, but I was never actually late for work, ever, a whole year. I was late for work 2 times in December. Like, I ran late, and like once I overslept and I was like an hour late, which was horrible. Another time I was like 30 minutes late. And Mike looked at me and goes, if you're late one time, I'm probably going to have to fire you. It's like, you have people who are late all the time. Why is it just me? Basically, at that shop, you have the haves and have-nots. You're either in the boss's graces or you're not.
Yeah. That's when you end up going ahead and when you show up late and they fire you, grab yourself a lawyer and you go back and you sue the fucking dog piss out of them for favoritism. And then while that's going on, that's when you run in all the other inspectors and shit, because the lawyer's right there and everything else, and then they come in and start inspecting, just fucking obliterate them. And they'd be like, what the hell? And that's when you just smile on your way out and be like, you know what?
Well, no,
Don't
see,
fuck with me.
it sounds stupid enough to do the whole, that they are stupid enough to say, as you're, bringing in all of them as the lawyers right there, if, not the EPA, but the, OSHA and that, I would laugh my ass if someone was actually stupid enough to say, what the hell, we paid you for the year already.
I doubt they'd be that stupid. People that crooked aren't usually that dumb.
Never know sometimes.
That's when you'd have to call OSHA above your regional office and tell them they need to do an inspection on somebody who's getting paid off by the company.
Well, I mean, and then...
Oh,
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I have no problems wrecking entire existences just to freaking make one thing right. Because it's not even about just you if you get fired or anything like that. And think about the people there that are working their asses off, that are letting things go just because they need a fucking job. And they know nobody's going to say anything because they just need a job. So I'll keep paying them. They'll keep working their ass off for me. It doesn't matter. They're stepping on the little guy to make sure they get all their money. And they don't give a fuck about any of y'all. And everybody lets them because they need a job.
All the little shops in that, like the rig shops and everything, like Old River,
Here you can get
Volvo,
old cars,
that's like
rare
right up the road
cars,
from us,
custom cars,
and a couple other shops
stunning
in the
paint
area.
jobs. Some big buyers and sellers here.
KLM,
Look around and
which
see
is who
what
I
catches
work
your
for,
eye.
is crooked enough to be like, look, we just let such and such go. Don't hire him, because if you do hire him, we're basically powerful enough that we're going to affect your business. We'll stop sending you, overflow work that we have to your shop that you need, or whatever, shit like that. It's like, Don't hire this person. If this person just quit, don't hire him. They basically blackball you out of all the other local places that you get a job at.
Oh, I know. But
You just got to keep your head down and do your job.
Yeah, I'm good at that. That's the reason I'm still unemployed, though. I'm not gonna frame somebody for something. If it were me taking them down, I would want them to know it's me taking them down. That way they know not everybody turns a blind eye to your fucking shenanigans. But I'm a vengeful son of a bitch, so.
Like I said, don't get me wrong. I like what I do. I enjoy what I do. I'm active. I move around. I work with my
In
hands.
400 yards.
You know, I work with a good group of
Turn
guys.
right.
Danny, freaking Rob. I mean, we laugh and we cut up or whatever. But I mean, like it's the higher ups.
Right.
You can sit there
But
and say, "Hey,
Turn right.
But that's the problem. Is they keep all you guys down there in the bottom where you guys are gonna make
Recalculating
friends with
route.
each other. And while you guys are, as long as you're
Turn
making
around
ends meet,
when it is safe to do so.
nobody ever says it.
We're calling these ones
Not really
drift
paying
zones.
attention, or then they
Turn
realize
in hard
that,
and use your
well, they
e-brake
know
to
we
drift
make
as
this
far as you
much.
can
They
between the
just don't
flags.
care because they do the job. They have to. And that's my issue. I mean, I'm sure the people you work for or work with are great. Like the guys that I worked with at the last place, or the guys I
What
worked
did you
with out on
think?
the base.
Not bad,
I
huh?
love those guys.
Those were my
We
idea.
were always laughing
Fans
and
don't come
joking
to
and having a
Horizon
good
to
time.
cheer
And
for
I
traction
had a couple
control.
people I wanted to fucking, punch in the
Hey,
throat,
Carnage. I've heard a
they
lot
were
of
few
good
and
things
far
about this
between.
driver. I
Out
think
of
we should try and get them
150
to sign up to your
mechanics, there was
lineup.
2 people I didn't get
They're
along
somewhere
with.
in this area.
And the rest of us would laugh and joke and have a
In
good
100
time
yards,
and
turn
ran
right.
football pools and everything was fine. We'd help each other out and all this other stuff, and it was great.
In 400 yards.
But management
Bear left.
was about the biggest bunch of freaking retards ever. I mean, they'd make special ed classes look like they were about to graduate from
Keep
Harvard.
left.
Yeah, see, that's the one thing I
100
don't
yards.
understand. Just
Turn
because you're in
left.
management does not mean, that you get to be a douche canoe to every single person.
In 200 yards.
Just
I
because.
live
Left.
by this. I live by this philosophy. There's a difference between a
Keep
leader and a
left.
boss. Most places you go and most places you'll be employed at have bosses. Very few places have leaders.
Wow.
A leader is somebody that when you say, "Hey, I'm having trouble with this," a boss will go, "You need to figure it out," and walk off. A leader will go, "Well, show me what you're working on and see if you can't figure it out." That's a leader. Somebody who's willing to step up and say, "Hey, you know what? Let's go look at it. Show me what you're doing. Tell me what's wrong, and we'll see if we can't figure it out." Even if they don't know what how to do it. An extra set of eyes means a lot. That's different. You know how far up you have to go to so far to learn how to experience this place to actually meet somebody who actually cares about the little employee? How far up the ladder you have to go? The CEO. And let me tell you how I know he cares about the employees. Because we had an employee last year, his car broke down. The only vehicle he had in his household, between him, his wife, he had 2 kids, barely
400
making ends
yards.
meet working for this place,
Turn left.
drawing what paycheck they were giving him. So the CEO's like, "Man, that sucks. You're falling on a hard time." I tell you what.
In 400
Put your car.
yards.
I know a guy.
Turn
Send
right.
your car to the shop and they'll have an engine. Just put a motor in his car, brand new engine.
You have
So he
arrived
could,
at your destination.
Make it to work and take care of his family. That's pretty much the only thing that I've ever seen where. You tell how this worked out. This is how this works. We were told we were gonna have this big meeting. That, we're gonna come in here, we're gonna go over some stuff, and we're gonna feed you. But we were gonna go with the afternoon lunch, which is usually after all the office people. They bring all the office people in to go over all the office stuff. Then they bring in all the shop employees to go over what they need to go over with the shop employees. So we get there and we're going over everything and we're looking around and they're like, "Oh, by the way, sorry guys, food's gone." Like a lot of us didn't we were told there's gonna be food, so we didn't eat lunch or we didn't bring lunch. We were told there's gonna be food. Now there's no food. Now we're hungry. And now we're
200
pissed
yards.
off and irritated.
Turn left. Turn
And
left.
people want to know why when they have a cookout and they get to go to the cookout, we're sitting there stuffing extra salt drinks and shit in our pocket. I would have made off with some more brisket, but it would have made my pockets really greasy.
I'll give you props. You got a hell of a lot more patience than I do.
No, amen.
Like I said, if I knew I could pick up the phone and have a job somewhere else, pretty quick, I would do it. Something that pays, as much or better. I know that I would actually be, a valued member of a company. I would do it, but I don't have that ability. Not right now anyway. So I just go in, punch the clock, keep my head down, get my work done, and go home.
That's actually what they told me at the fucking college. They were like, dude, just keep your head down, get your work done, and go home at the end of the day. I was like, kind of looked at him, and they said, we know it'll be a really hard thing for you to try and figure out how to do, but you should try. I was like, all right, I'll try, and then I failed in like the first 30 minutes. I'm like, well, that didn't work.
The last time I did what, I did what you're talking about, septic, one time, and I went 8 months without a job and had the car get repossessed. Wound up having to move back in with my mom.
Oh, I understand it. Not the dilemma you're in.
Well, there's no dilemma. There's no choice in the matter. Yeah, it sucks, but because I know that I have, even though I do live with my mom and my stepdad, right now I pay my own car note and all this other stuff, and I take care of what bills I have, and I don't make a lot of money. I know that, my mom looks at me and says, look,
Turn left.
you need to have a job. Don't lose this job. Because I know if I lose this job, they're going to be like, well, maybe you should get moved out of here and move back to your dad. I like Brandon. I graduated from Brandon. I like it. So, maybe in the future I'll have a chance for a better advancement in the company. Maybe if, some guys retire, or, Mike is no longer, gets fired from his shop manager position, because managers usually don't last more than 3 to 5 years. And then it's time for them to move on and bring in somebody else, because they're always looking to do better, and they'll find out that a guy will hit a ceiling and he can't figure out how to do it better, so they'll bring in somebody else. You never know what might change in the company, because, the hell, when I was working at the shipyard, I was doing great, and so all of a sudden I got moved to a different
Driver
a
number
different
3
crew,
signed.
and everything
This team
went
is looking
downhill.
good.
One person can make a big difference. My lead man is going to retire. Bird said he's going to retire in the next, 3 years. That's his goal, is 3 years, and he's gone. Actually, 2.5 now. He's out of here. Well, that's a big position to fill. Well, in 3 years, I'll have enough experience that maybe I can move into a higher paying role as that particular, the KLM body shop lead man position, which he's making like 22 an hour. If I could move up to like 18 an hour, I would be absolutely ecstatic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I promise, if any inspectors or federal people show up at your business, it ain't me that called. Although, as soon as you leave, I fucking will. But, because I don't know. People don't treat my friends that way. But, I'll watch them all. I would gladly watch them all topple.
Hey, I tell you what, if you ever find yourself in Mississippi, I can tell you what bar they go to on a Friday night. And I'll bail you out of water.
It's 8 hours there, right? Hey, Justin, you like going on a road trip? I'll meet you in Dallas and we'll head over.
It's like, he was like, well, now why would you? And I said, I'll bail you out of road trip.
See, if my best friend was still alive, I'd be like, all right, I'll be back. We'd get in the car and we'd be there in we'd be in there in like 8 hours. And he wouldn't even question it. I'd be like, dude, we need to go on a road trip. I got some shit I got to handle. I'd be like, bail money, taken care of. Got it.
There's a deal like this is probably the worst I've ever lost my opinion. Like I was there's a girl I went to high school with. She's like my sister. I found out this dude beat the hell out of her, and so I flew off the handle. And like I found out that him and all of my buddies were going to start in Mississippi. I flipped my phone open. And like I said, I was just out of high school. I took my phone and I dialed the number. I said, Dustin, how fast can you get? I said, how fast can you get the crew together to meet me in Spartanburg? He said, let me call you back. And so, like, while I'm waiting on him to call me back, freaking Tiffany calls me. She's like, don't do what I know you're going to do. I said, nope, it's happening. It's going to happen. I said, I've already made phone calls. And then
You have a
she's like,
bonus board on
just
your
don't
map
do
that
it.
you haven't smashed yet.
Please,
like me to
please
set a
don't
route
do it.
there for you?
If there was ever a time I wanted to, if he tries it again, you can do it. Just don't do it this time.
Nope.
About that time, my phone rang. I said, Tiffany, hang on, I'll call you back. Flip on. I said, Dustin. He's like, all right, I got 7 trucks ready to roll. Where we heading? I said, Spartanburg. And when he said 7 trucks, I knew each truck was probably 2 to 3 deep. So, and with people in them. And like, Dustin didn't tell nobody nothing. He's like, look, Nick needs us to go to Spartanburg. He's like, it sounds pretty serious. And it's like, and everybody's like, all right, let's go. And then Dustin is like my really good friend. Like these other guys, like I've hung out with, but he knew the people to call me. Just like, look, I know I can dial a phone number and get a whole bunch of people to like to fight. Just give me money. You know, it's that kind of thing. Like
They don't even know why they're fighting. They're just
no, they just like, oh, look, we're gonna drive all the way to Starkville and get in the fight. Let's do it. Yeah, I was ready to drive 3 hours to go do some brakes on it. It was gonna happen.
You know,
Until
and
she called me and says, he's not in Starkville anymore. Where's he going? I don't know. I said, find out. Like, she never called me back. All right. I was like, you know, it's like the morning before the jump into Normandy. It's like, we're on a 24-hour stand down. You know, when I find this dude, it's on.
So he just show up and there's him. He show up, it's just him and his friends, and be like, I got more. That's your idea.
I know what happened. Somebody called him and told him what was about to happen. Told him that we were coming, and he ghosted. I knew that. I knew she did it, but I wasn't gonna take that. We already got beat up. You know, I wasn't gonna emotionally beat her up anymore. Like, see, she's like my sister. I was like, I'll leave it alone. And that was probably the most pissed off out of everything. Like I said, I'm a very laid back, I was like, I can't fight. And I was ready to go fight. I can't fight. I'd probably get my head beat in, but luckily I have no people with me that watch the back.
Your back just got hit twice.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, like I would have, honestly, I'd have probably gotten onto it, because letting him get away with it just means he's going to do it again. Her calling him to warn him just told him that, hey, I will keep my friends from beating the dog piss out of you, so you can go ahead and kick the shit out of me. It's okay.
Well, she warned him and he left, and I couldn't do it. You know, he got away from me. Didn't get away from Tiffany's older brother. The problem
Scramble
is
time.
Tiffany's older
This
brother.
is a lap race on a mixed surface course,
Jason
so it can
knew
be
the
tricky.
guy. Not only knew the guy, but lived next door to his mother.
So he got what's coming to him regardless.
Yeah, he got blindsided when he got home by Jason. Like he got out of his truck and was heading into the house at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and Jason was waiting for him in the bushes.
let's put it this way: with everybody who sits there and says, "Oh, you know, we're peaceful. We don't start shit. We don't like to do stuff that's bad." You know, I'm sorry, but you proved the opposite every time you pull something stupid. Oh, we're good people. We're okay. Obviously not.
I have never said I'm a good people.
I never said you were a good person.
Everybody that knows me knows unless you're a friend. If you're a friend or family, then I am.
I didn't find out Jason had got a hold of the guy until like weeks ago. Like it was like weeks later. And and Justin showed up. He was hanging out somewhere, and he was like, "Hey, you remember my boyfriend, whatever the fuck his name was?" I was like, "Yeah, the guy that hit her." He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "What?" I was like, "Whatever happened to him?" He's like, "Oh, I got it." I was like, "Oh, you did?" He's like, "Yeah, I was waiting for him in the bushes when he got home." I was like, "You knew where he lived?" He's like, "I live next door to his mom." I was like, "Oh." He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "His mom came out screaming at me while I was beating the brakes out of her little angel, and when she asked me why the hell I was hitting him, I told her what happened." And then he's like, it's like you put the light switch on his mom. She's like, pop that hand on her hip and kick the other hip out. She's like, "Well," he started talking to her son, like he's laying on the ground bleeding out of his face. So talking to her son, goes, "Well, brought this one on yourself, didn't you?" Get your ass in the house. Oh, so she didn't call the cops on her. She said, no, didn't call the cops. Told me to, if there was anything Tiffany needed, she'd, or whatever, just let her know, and she'd make sure her boy paid for it. Because I found it hilarious because it made me think back that my dad told me a story. Let me tell this story real quick. My dad was well known around this small town at the time for animals. Everybody knew my dad. My dad, my dad was one of the what they call, he ran with a group of like he redneck. They called them them boys outlaws. They just they ain't worth nothing. Well, anyway, my dad said it was a Halloween night. He's like, I'm up at the Sonic hanging out with my buddies. And he said Dana, which is my Aunt Dana, his younger sister, was out with her friends walking around town. Well, apparently some boys from from the school, they was riding around throwing bleach bombs, water balloons filled with bleach. Ooh. One of them hit Dana in the top of the head, got all her hair, all over her clothes, and brand new shoes, And they said, my dad said, Dana said, when she got hit, the truck stopped. Apparently, they've been throwing these things, but hadn't hit anybody all night. Well, they finally hit somebody, so the driver was like, "Oh crap, we hit somebody." And they said the only thing that these boys heard was, "I'm getting my brother." And apparently,
hey, Carnage.
One
Glad
of the
you and your
dudes in the
friends
back
are
of the
enjoying the
truck was
races
the
we
guy
set
that threw
up. But this is your festival.
bleach bombs.
We take
Dude,
orders
you're
from you.
fucked.
So, let's talk about Horizon
So
Blueprint.
my dad finds out about
With
it. So
Blueprint,
he starts rolling
you
around
decide
town
where
looking
and
for
how
this dude
and how fast.
in his
Set
pickup.
race conditions,
Starts
number
just
of
tooling
laps,
her
car
name, looking
themes, and
for him.
categories,
Well,
and
tracks
then
him
run
back
your
down to the
events
exact
your
place
way
where his
with your
search started,
friends.
which was the Sonic.
Each theme
Dude, as
contains
his
a
car
group of
pulled
cars
up,
carefully
in the
selected and
Sonic,
balanced for your events.
and my
Want to
dad
race
pulled
rally
back
classics,
up, jumped out, and of
Chevrolets,
course all the
Italian
teenagers that
manufactured
were
cars?
at the Sonic started,
Take a look
"Ooh,
through
oh,
and see what you
oh
think.
man," they start standing up looking because everybody done heard about it by now. Which in a day without social media, you'd be surprised how fast gossip and shit and trouble would spread in a small town on a Friday night.
No, I wouldn't. I'm
just
from
by
one.
word
You'll
of
set
mouth.
details like weather,
by word
time
of
of day,
mouth.
or number of laps in circuit races.
So my dad, he says he walked up there. He's walking up to this kid's car, and the kid rolls his window up, rolls it all the way up. Locks the doors. Locks the doors. He said my dad said I walked up to that window. He said I had that big shiny class ring on. He said I wrapped it against his window. I said roll your window down. He said man, I ain't rolling my window down. He said wrapped on it again. All right, man, come on. Roll your window
Now
down.
give your event a name.
I ain't going to
I know
hurt
it helps with PR, but
He said,
it's more than
I
that.
ain't rolling this
A work
window
of
down.
art
He
needs a
said,
title.
My dad goes, he said, there's one of two ways this is going to happen. He says, you either going to roll this window down and we're going to talk. He said, I'm going to knock this
Perfect.
window out and I'm going
Time
to
to
drag
publish.
you out of it and beat
Hit the button
your ass.
and we'll get started.
My dad said he
All
cracked
done.
that window down
Now
about
just select
3
your event
inches. He
flyer
rolled it
and we'll
down
get to
about
racing.
3 inches. And he's like, my dad just said, he said, as calm as I could be. He said, rage boiling under the surface because this is my baby sister. He said, well, ain't that much we can do about her hair. It's going to regrow. But I tell you what's going to happen. Monday morning when we get to school, you're going to get a list of everything that you ruined, clothes, shoes, and what it's going to cost to replace it. by Friday afternoon, she better have cash or a check in her hand for the cost of these items that you will be replacing. I said, he's like, 4 o'clock Friday afternoon when I leave the high school, if she don't have the money and or check in her hand, I'm hunting your ass down and I'm gonna take it out of your ass. He goes, oh, you can't hit me, that's assault. And at the time my dad was like, he said it's $475 for the assault. That means I can bail out of jail $45.70. He says I walk around with $200 in my billfold at all times. I promise you, if I'm going to jail, that ass whooping. So apparently by Wednesday, this dude had cash money in his hand for the clothes that got ruined. And I've seen pictures of my dad. Like, my dad's a big dude now, he's a truck driver, he's got the belly and everything. He's big dude, but he's still stouter than I am. I've seen pictures of him in high school. I'm like, that little beanpole looking dude right there was weird. I said, I do not know why. I said, it looked like a harsh wind could blow and you would fly away.
It's not about the size, it's about how brutal you are.
Yeah, I know. I mean, still, it's just by looking at him. Of course, my dad in high school, by his senior portrait, he's got the big blonde hair and mustache. Nice, 80s mustache, I was like, Dad, I didn't know you were related to Tom Selleck.
We're same here.
What's our principal in the retired army? Older guy. The one that I was always going to talk to. Like that day I hit Franz. That was funnier than shit. He had been talking shit to Jennifer. I realize now that I got in more fights because of her big mouth than my own. Because I didn't say anything. Franz Melhorn, Sabrina Melhorn's little brother. He's sitting there just like screaming, yelling at my sister. And she goes, I'm getting my brother. You get that motherfucker. I ain't scared of that pussy, blah, blah, blah. And he thought she was talking about Justin. For some reason, he didn't know that I was her brother, but he knew who I was. And I walked around the corner and he goes, oh shit. She goes, yeah, this is my other brother. He goes, oh, I didn't like fill the glass. So my sister left me with the glass and then sit down and look at the talk. I said, I'm gonna hit you before we leave. I said, I promise you, I'm gonna hit you. I said, but I want you to understand why I'm gonna hit you. And so I explained it all to him and everything else, and he thought we were good. And he stands up and I was like, Franz. He goes, yeah, Josh? Boom! Just fucking like it. Talk to my sister like that. I was like, oh, and if I go to the office, I'm gonna break your spine and you'll never walk. And I walked away, and I was skinny as shit in high school. So we're sitting there, and I'm like, the fucking bell rings for the first period. I'm still sitting with the teacher. Just comes in and goes, okay, everybody settle down. Josh and the president just come to the office. Motherfucker! Class ain't even started yet. And I walked in, and I didn't realize it was hard as I could have this place was low. And I didn't mean to hit him that hard, but apparently I did. And he's like, I swear. He's like, I didn't want to tell. He's like, the teacher said your face. And she said to the office, please don't break my spine. I'm like, dude, I didn't know. And I'm sitting there, and I look in the office, and the principal's there, and the football coach is there, too. I told you about it. The guy with like a big triangle that never worked with the
Yeah.
And so the principal comes out and he's like, Josh, would you strut that young man like that? I was like, how often am I in your office? He's like, way too often. I was like, that no, that doesn't really sound like you. It's usually just a fight and then we're done. He goes, yeah. It's like 3 days or 5 days this time. It's like, I'm sending you to in-school suspension this time. You're missing a lot of class being suspended. He's like, alright. He's like, 5 days. Alright, I'll go get my shit. He's like, watch your language. I'm like, I don't know. And so I go to walk out and I turn over to Ron and I just kind of smile and walk. And I'm like, I see you. I walk away and the kid just starts fucking bawling. So I walk, grab my shit, and went to ISS.
I went to ISS one time, and I loved it. They took me a week's worth of work to get it done in 2 or 3 days, and I just get to sit around and sleep.
Well, the only reason they started putting me in in-school
this
suspension
is
for
why I
everything
do
is
the
because I was
organizing
spending
and
so
you
much
drive the
time
car.
out of school that they were like, he's never going to graduate.
Well, see, because I was in school when I went to ISS. I was living in Houston, Mississippi at the time. So, but like I thought I was gonna get suspended. So I was like, so am I getting suspended? And of course the principal's like, and what? Send you on vacation? Hell no.
I've got something
You're
big
going
planned,
to
boss.
ISS.
All I need is a few more fans through the gate. Just get out there and do something impressive, will you?
Freaking. They stopped corporal punishment in the high school before, like the year before I got there. And even as old as, I guess his name is Mr. Fondren, he could bring the biggest lineman to tears with that fucking paddle. And it was like, he was like notorious for it. So when they finally made it to where you couldn't do corporal punishment anymore, he was pissed.
Shit, when I was in school, they still had corporal punishment in Mississippi. Hell, come to think of it, I think they still do.
Yeah, well.
If they've gotten rid of it, it's been recently since I've graduated.
I mean, like, the thing with corporal punishment that I remember one thing my mom used to say, she goes, if you get your ass beat at school, I'm gonna beat your ass when you get home. Like,
Yeah.
what? Mm-hmm. I know. It wasn't until 7th grade when mom actually allowed me to fight. And then she just couldn't get me to stop fighting, so it was like, shit. But see, that's what a lot of people didn't understand when they're like, oh, well, how come you're so vicious and your brother's like, he just stands there. I'm like, my mom doesn't let us fight. I just don't give a shit. But she told us not to fight. It wasn't until 7th grade and I came back with like 2 shiners. And she was like, in 1 week. And she was just like, all right, you need to start fighting back. And so then I fought back. But
My mom, my stepdad, my dad, look, don't ever start a fight. And if somebody starts a fight with you do everything in your power you can to win. The first time I think I ever fought back in school was Wesley Benedict and Kyle Corner. I'll never forget.
In 400 yards.
They always picked on me. And they thought they were real funny. We were coming back from lunch. And the teacher was like at the back of the, way behind the class. So we're going into the classroom, and like Kyle and Wesley kept pushing me from behind. As we cleared the doorway, I grabbed Wesley. Wesley was a tiny kid, real small, short. I grabbed him and slammed him against the wall.
You have arrived
Kyle
at your
comes at
destination.
me, I grab him, and of course, like I said, I probably had retard rage. And I just pitched him and threw him through desk. Hit Wesley. And by that time, the teacher came in, and she was appalled. Like, she had never seen such violence in a classroom, blah, 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 blah. Well, so that, they wind up, I get sent to the office, and after my stepdad, who's a cop, shows up. Well, what happened? And I was like, well, Wesley and them kept pushing me, and, I wound up, I got tired of it. And they're like, well, we're going to have to suspend him for 3 days. And my stepdad looks at me and goes, well, okay. He's transferring schools, so was his last day at Hernando anyway, so y'all have a good one. And the...
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I still remember the first.